Hi everyone, here's a bookchemist once again. I have a PhD in English literature. I am a scholar published in modern fiction studies. And today I'm reviewing the Necronomnomnom, a recipe book inspired by the works of HP Lovecraft. I didn't dream that I would one day be doing this when I started this channel, but here I am. Before I begin the video, today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online community of creatives. It's a website offering countless video classes on a very broad variety of topics, from writing skills to entrepreneurial skills, culinary skills. I'll talk about that later. There's a link in the description box that will give the first 1,000 people to click on it 2 months free subscription to Skillshare. Even beyond the first 2 months, Skillshare is very cheap. An annual plan is less than $12 a month. The Necronomnomnom now. The book, written by Mike Slater, but being very much a collaborative effort, as the acknowledgements make evident, is not just inspired by Lovecraft. This is a collection of recipes that have been collected from the very world, the very fictional worlds of H.P. Lovecraft. Some of these recipes come in the form of a report, maybe by somebody who was kidnapped by Migos or by some other entity from outside the bounds of space and time. Some of these recipes take the form of veritable summoning rituals to evoke and bring the ancient ones to be. Cocktails, desserts, breakfasts, main dishes, sides, children's meals, everything is covered in the book. And possibly the greatest fun to be had with the Necronomnomnom consists in interpreting the ingredients list and the preparation and trying to make heads or tails of what exactly these people saw in the horrible swamps and alien structures where they learned of these recipes. And if your question is, but bookchemist, will you show us one of these recipes? The answer is obviously, you bet. But before I do, and I'm sure that will also help you understand this idea that you need to interpret the recipe. Before I do that, I have a couple of comments, because when the bookchemist reviews the Necronomnomnom, he reviews it very seriously. The first one is a genuine concern that I have. The second one is just something you should know about the book. My concern is that this book is clearly written with an American audience in mind, and many of the ingredients it mentions, like Kraft macaroni and cheese or breadstick dough, might not really be available where you live. I'm pretty positive that you'll be able to improvise and that the recipe would still come out edible, even if you have to substitute some other horror for whatever corporate disgusting thing the original authors intended. Warning, the recipes may not actually be edible after substitutions. A sub-concern accompanying that one is that the book does ask you to go for very specific branded products, and I generally prefer in my, when I'm cooking from recipe books, to pick recipes that ask for as few ingredients as possible, as minimal non-branded fresh ingredients as possible, but I guess that there wasn't enough of a demand for fresh ingredients in my Lovecraft recipe book is a pretty stupid sentence once you say it out loud. The other point I wanted to raise, and I think the central point I want to make about the Necronomnomnom, is that all of these recipes, all of them, have very long ingredients list, are very convoluted. They are all recipes for rather rich, rather complex meals. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is that I believe this is exactly the point. This is a book that wants you to play with the food, that puts an awful lot of importance on the preparation and the presentation of the food to make it actually look as disgusting as possible. I think the whole idea is to maybe bring together a group of friends, well, once lockdowns are lifted, and get together and just have tons of fun trying to summon and to put together these desperate, bizarre concoctions. Maybe you can bring together your Arkham Horror card game group of friends, or your Call of Cthulhu RPG friends, or just some friends on a night where you want to watch some horror movies together, or even bring people together for a Halloween party. That, I think, is the kind of scenario where the recipes of the Necronomnomnom should be prepared. If you were planning to buy the book to try the recipes by yourself, it might not be quite as fun, because they are going to require a lot of effort and a lot of time for something that might very well be gross in the end. There are a few exceptions to this, admittedly, and the recipe I'm going to mention in the video is one that I think you can prepare for yourself wherever you are, and as such, it's a good one to include in the video. It's called Vegemite Cthulhu. It feeds one hungry soul. I'm reading straight from the book now. To be sacrificed that it may come forth, you shall need 2 slices of pumpernickel, 2 teaspoons of unsalted butter, 2 tablespoons of Vegemite. I used butter because I didn't want to buy a full jar of Marmite. I like it, but not that much. 2 cups bean sprouts and 2 large eggs. Wake the dreamer. Rend the center of the bread slabs with voids of dire shape. Brush upon the slabs a bit of the yellow and black umber substances. Maintain your vigil, and in a vessel devoid of one dimension, melt a bit more of the butter and place the black slabs. Scatter about half the sprouts and stir these throughout with soft susurrations. Break open the foul egg and pour forth into the void. Twice you will do thus, one into each eye. Maintain the intensity of the medium. After the passing of 2 counts 60, turn the slabs and their foul contents over and brush again upon them the pastes. When the yolk is set upon, all mankind yield and serve garnish with a beard of the tendrils untouched by flame. I also added a little bit of ketchup just for the added taste. It looked a bit like blood on Cthulhu's tentacles. It was very cool. And you know what? It actually tasted pretty okay. It tasted great. Although, admittedly, when you mix together bread, butter and egg, it's very difficult to get something that isn't tasty. There are definitely other recipes that I'd like to try in the right circumstances, when the stars are right, including the formless spaghetti, which are basically parcels of short crust pastry with pasta in them, and prawns and cherry tomatoes, and I can't quite decide whether this sounds really awful or possibly tasty. And the oats of Dagon, which is just granola. It's granola, but Dagon flavored. The last point I must absolutely make is that the Necronomnomnom, as hopefully you've already noticed, is beautifully illustrated. It's magnificently depicted. I recently filmed a video about my frustration with existing Lovecraft collection and anthologies, and one of my problems is that there are a few illustrated editions out there, but they are never really satisfying. They just put together a few very random gothic looking illustrations of skulls and tombs and tentacles, and they just scatter them around without any attention to how relevant they are for the story they are illustrating. Whereas the illustrations, the figures in here, were all magnificent, and whoever did them, which is actually Kurt Komoda, good job Mr. Komoda, this guy needs to illustrate a nice edition, a nice collection of Lovecraft stories. If the idea of a Lovecraft recipe book inspires you, I absolutely recommend the Necronomnomnom. I think the ideal, the target audience for the book are people who are going to bring together a group of friends and just have fun goofing around with these recipes every once in a while. Or on the other end, if you have a friend who's a huge Lovecraft fan, this would be a great present, I think. If they have a sense of humor, I think they're going to appreciate it. They might not fork out the price of the book themselves, but I'm sure they'll love receiving it as a present. Are you going to purchase the Necronomnomnom? Are you enticed by the recipe I tried or by the others I described? If you have the book, have you tried cooking with it? I am positive some nerd out there is going to pull like Julie and Julia with this book and just try and make all of the recipes from it, and I'd like to follow their blog when they finally decide to do that. This video, just like the Necronomnomnom, was a collaborative effort, and I have quite a few people to thank. Most notably, the background music to this video was a song titled Erich Zann by the darkest of the Hillside Thickets. I'm a huge fan of the band. They played punk rock music inspired by the works of HP Lovecraft and by pulp horror fiction in general. I absolutely recommend you check out their album The Dukes of Halas Red, from which Erich Zann, the song I used, comes from. It's possibly my favorite among their works, although Cthulhu Strikes Back is also a classic, let's face it. Do check out their BandCamp page, buy their records, see them live whenever shows start happening again. Check those guys out and support them because they are great. Thanks to W.W. Norton for my copy, my review copy of the Necronomnomnom, and thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring the video. Skillshare, as mentioned at the beginning, is this website that brings together creatives and people interested in developing new hobbies and new skills in this very friendly atmosphere. Every class has a discussion group attached to it where you can debate the skills you're developing with the other people taking the class. You can give each other feedback. It's all very friendly. One class I followed recently and that I'm going to recommend, because it's the complete opposite of the Necronomnomnom, is a class about cooking the perfect spaghetti al pomodoro. It's given by a chef called Nicoletta Grippo. One of the things that astounded me ever since I moved to the UK is how many people just can't figure out a simple plate of pasta. It's the easiest shit imaginable. And this class, in less than, well, barely more than 20 minutes, will give you all you need to be able to always cook a perfect plate of pasta al pomodoro, spaghetti al pomodoro, always reliable, costs nothing, takes minutes to make. It's a meal you'll be having very often for the rest of your life, if only you can figure it out. And it was useful for me too, because for all that I'm playing the Italian card and acting like I can make like an awesome pasta, I could never quite get the al dente correctly, and the class was quite useful on that front, and we always have something to learn, and that's why Skillshare is so useful. I recommend you check the website out. It's a great website. Thank you as always for watching the video, guys, and bye, guys.